Hello and thank you for joining us on the Wednesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Zubakun. Today on the program, NLC direct affiliate unions, civil society organizations to mobilize for strike over planned fuel subsidy removal. Umahi Kalu joined APC presidential ticket race, and later on the show, NUC says Nigeria has only 100,000 lecturers for 2.1 million university students. I'll be hanging out with Lekon Shote and Olayinka Oyibili. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. We begin today on the rather sad notes and paying tributes to the former governor of Oyo State, Otumba Adebayo Alao Akala, Christopher Alao Akala, who died this Wednesday morning at the age of 71. Alao Akala, a retired police officer, was the deputy governor of Oyo State from 2003 to 2007 and later governor from 2007 to 2011 on the platform of the People's Democratic Party. It's another sad note, gentlemen. Yinka, Otumba Christopher Alao Akala, if you remember, he was deputy to Governor Adewolu Ladoja. At the point in time that Ladoja was embattled, he became the substantive governor. And I just remember that smile, and he's a fan of Journalist Hangouts.
Yes. Let me confess that my partiality, some sort of, he was from Ogbomoso, and I'm from Ogbomoso, and
was like he's a strong man. He was a strong man in Ogbomoso.
There is no politics you want to play in Ogbomoso if you don't deal with Akala, you are nowhere. You will remember that the former deputy House of Representatives Speaker,
Mulika Tadiola,
she was defeated by an unknown quantity from Labour Party when he joined Labour Party and contested as governor as a governorship candidate on Labour Party. He won the whole of Ogbomoso, but of course the Ogbomoso votes cannot make him the governor. An unknown person from Labour Party won all the votes in Ogbomoso area. Because of the influence of to tell you how important and how much influence he wielded in the town and the surrounding villages and towns. It's a very great loss. He was a very, very charismatic politician. You may not like some of the things he does or he did, but you cannot take it away from him that when it comes to Ogbomoso politics, he was a dominant figure. And with his death now, maybe another dominant person might be thrown up. In fact, for me, in Ogbomoso now,
he was also a party leader in the All Progressive Congress.
Yes, exactly. In fact, you remember that when the 2019 election was coming, he had to, was it 2019 or 2015? They had to query him and so that he can deliver the Ogbomoso votes in block for the APC. So after the late premier of the Western region, SLA Akintola, he was the biggest politician that has arisen from Ogbomoso town.
It's such a very tough time for people of Oyo State. Just lost Olubado some days back, and then now Tumba Christopher Akala.
I commiserate with the governor and the people of Ibadan and then of Ogbomoso and the entire Oyo State, you know, and of course of the APC also. They've lost a very strong man. But my take on Akala is that I saw him as a populist. He has this thing with the masses. You know, he could play along. He could, you know, like when you look at Fayose, he was trying to be a populist. It was an act. But as far as I'm concerned, Akala was a born populist. and he acted that throughout. And then it was so good that even when somehow he upstaged La Georgia and became acting governor, still he didn't lose his cool. And then when La Georgia came back, he still maintained his until their term ended and everybody went their separate ways. I think it's somebody that we should commend, you know. And unfortunately, he has died. I was even surprised that he's just 71 years old. I thought he was much older than that.
No.
You know, he has this brilliance, but also a mature disposition.
Yes.
You know.
We also commiserate
And a journalist delight.
we commiserate with the
We commiserate with the entire family.
sports minister too, because Sunday Dare is also
Yeah.
from the Ogbomoso. I know it was quite close to Christopher Alawakala. Moving on now, as the federal government is bent on ending fuel subsidy regime and organized labor is adamant on its opposition to the plan, then we can expect industrial crisis on our hands. The Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, has directed its members, affiliate unions, and civil society organizations to prepare for the planned January 27 and February 1st nationwide protest against the proposed removal of fuel subsidy. The NLC also asks its affiliates across the country to mobilize their members for the rallies and ensure total compliance. How do we avoid this looming logjam? It's a new year. It's a new year, and it's like this is a catch-22 situation. Continue with this fuel subsidy thing, our economy will remain very, very fragile and endangered. Removal of this fuel subsidy, it's another thing, because the people, the low-income earner, we feel it. So that's why the Nigerian Labour Congress is saying, no, this will not work. Nika?
Well, as an individual, I'm still confused exactly what the government is saying or what it wants to do. As I've said here several times, I'm not a mathematician, so I don't know much of mathematics and when it comes to figures. But for those who understand, who have done the calculation, you are going to give 40 million Nigerians, we have not been told how they have identified them, 5,000 every month for the next how many weeks or months, we don't know. But those who understand have calculated it, that the money, assuming you even have those 40 million Nigerians you want to give that 5,000, the 5,000 times 40 million Nigerians you want to give is way ahead what you claim you are using as a subsidy. So why not leave the subsidy and continue with it and leave the 5,000 in government purse? Because the same 5,000 you are talking about and the 40 million that you have not told us how you arrived at those numbers and who is the same way the issue of palliative during the COVID time and the money they said they were school feeding money and all that. So how exactly are we going to arrive at this? What exactly is the government going to do?
I think we're missing something.
Okay.
There. It's not a permanent measure. It's just a temporary measure.
Yes, it's going to last for 6 months or whatever months or whatever days. Okay.
To just tell us, the kind of situation we are in. In the last 7 or 8 years, they've been talking about removal of the subsidy. And I read it that even the international community or our lenders are saying that, look, you must remove subsidy, devalue your naira, and do some other things. Now, this subsidy, the effect is that some people are saying that, look, as we are buying 100 and something naira now, that we might be buying like 300 and something naira. Or 200 or something.
100%.
Do you understand? There's going to be increase, and that Nigeria is like a country that is the cheapest around the West Africa sub-region.
Look, when they say that, I get more agitated. Listen, Ayo, this subject is a waste of our time on this platform. Now, ask me why. Let's point to just 2 industries in this country. telecoms. We used to have Nitel. They gave license to the
GSM companies.
Yes. And nobody is complaining. That nobody is talking about subsidies anymore. Ayo, how can you have 4 refineries? They are not producing 1 ounce, 1 liter. And there are people employed there who are getting paid every month.
Fat pay.
Medicals, travel allowance, they are paying NEPA bill in that office. They are spending money for what? And then you are now importing. Practically the only thing that NNPC does now is to maintain the depots, the refineries. You and I, we discussed this early last year. They were going to give them $1.65 billion for turnaround of what? What are they turning around? Has the money been given? What is the result? So, luckily, the PIA has come. There is NNPC Limited, right? And the board is already in place right now, Abi?
Yes.
Good. So, let them send the thing to the stock exchange. Let people go and buy. We're already having one Dangote somewhere in Lekki. Let other people have their own licenses were given out. They kept telling us there's going to be what you call those little refineries. Nothing has happened. Modular. They're in Port Harcourt. They are picking these boys who refine this thing in a rather than get them together in a combined or cooperative. Run them, get accountants for them, get engineers for them, make them millionaires also. And then we don't have to worry about these things. But some fat cats sit inside that place and they are getting paid for doing nothing. And then they are talking. Who are they? Who is subsidizing who? The money that they are sharing. You recall that the former SLS, former governor of Central Bank, he said, if you look at the ship bathing, right, the capacity of a ship at the port is less than
the number
1/3 of
what they claimed
came into the country. So you see that some people are just stealing money. And the president is the minister of petroleum resources. So what is it? Does it mean that the president is absent-minded? You and I remember that in 2018 or 2017, when the Kachiku, what's his name? Kachiku was complaining to the president that the GMD of NNPC was bypassing him. And he himself was not even having access to the president who is the minister. Look, I think we are just wasting time discussing this. They should just scrap this, let them go home. Let them go home. What is it? Isn't government making money from the telcos?
Because this planned industrial action will put our fragile economy into a more precarious situation. That the organized labor, when they come together, civil society, when they come together and they go on strike, you know what it might cost us.
It will, but at the end of it, what result do we get? It's very unfortunate that it comes to this point because the government always has its way. Why? If the government wants to sell a commodity for 50 naira, it will put the price at 100. So labor will come out and say, no, we won't agree. You must maintain it at 20, assuming it was 20 before. Then there will be meeting upon meeting and all meeting, and we know what goes on at those meetings. At the end of the day, they will agree. Even that 50 naira that the government was targeting, it might get to 60. They will just say 60. Then labor will come and say, okay, we have discussed in the interest of peace and harmony and blah, blah, blah. We are going back to work. Then you ask yourself, why did we go on strike in the first place? But in all this, the poor people are always the ones to suffer. They always argue that the poor people are not gaining from it. How many diesel vehicles carry farm commodities in Nigeria? How many? Every day on the road that I see, the vehicles that I see carrying ewedu, albosa, and the rest of it are mostly cars using petrol. But they will argue that no, it's because people are driving their cars and their cars, that's why they don't want. No. How many of our so-called mass transit buses use diesel? No. See, if the argument is that we've removed the subsidy on diesel and Nigeria is now falling, it doesn't. It's a wash, as they say on the street, because those who use diesel use it for generators and big lorries, but the small lorries that carry little pepper and tomato from K2 to whatever don't use that.
John is calling us from Port Harcourt, River State. Thank you for joining us, John.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is John. Actually, my first time trying to get
happy New Year, John.
Over a month, yeah. Over a lot of time. So the thing is this, I just want to, thank you. I just want to maybe just line up with the conversation Mr. Shote did. All right, so you see, I did my industrial training. I'm a chemical engineer. I did my industrial training as far back as 2003 in Kaduna State, in Kaduna Refining and Petrochemical Company. You see, people have been working from 2003 till today. Not one production has happened. Not one production has happened in that facility.
How many years?
2003 till today. See, I was much more a younger person then. And you see, we just waste our time in this country, waste our conversations. I don't even know if people even listen to what people do. Yeah, 2003. This is 2022. I also work in the oil and gas industry.
They might be going on
courses. I was a student in 400.
Yes, they do.
Imagine people working since 2003 to 2022, collecting salary,
doing nothing,
and no work done, no hours of production in that facility. How do you run a country like
justify
this?
That kind of redundancy?
It's a waste of time, really. Take out the subsidy, do what the telcos have done, and let us have value. Let us have value for what we pay for. Let us have value what we get. Thank you, Ayo. I think I'll just rest like this.
I don't think about it this way.
He made a major point. Are we ready? If Muhammadu Buhari has, let's say, some 16 months or 14 months in office, and he's saying that, look, to save the new administration from any kind of problem, I'm going to take this decision. Do you think we are ready?
Listen.
Taking out that subsidy outrightly.
Ayo, let me backtrack a little bit to go and look at the telcos. NITEL was not dissolved, but licenses was given to other organizations. NITEL died a natural death. We have what is holding these modular refineries from working. What is the problem? Our macroeconomic policies, I'm sorry to say this, but it appears to me that only this governor of central bank seems to be working. Those who run the budget, the planning, the industries, and so on, they don't seem to understand what they are supposed to be doing. You had economic management team, you dissolved it, you now have economic presidential advisory committee that was doing nothing, and you now say the chairman is now the economic advisor. For how many months? Listen, we don't seem to understand that we need to sit down and do something called first principles. You plan what is the first stage, the next stage, and the next stage. I tell you something. We are just recovering from, we are not fully recovered from the disaster of COVID-19. And then you are not saying you want to add. I can tell you, I observed that prices of foodstuffs started going down. Because I deliberately make sure I go to market to have a feel of some of these things. I know that yam that was 2,000 It's now going for 1,000 or 1,002. I've seen it. Yes, I bought it so that I can say, I can report it. Yes, Gary that was 2,000 is now 1,000. I bought it so that I can report that I saw it. I bought it. Not that somebody bought it and came to tell me. I have a direct experience of what I'm talking about. And then you now remove this so-called under recovery. That's the language they are using to fool us. They say under recovery of costs. That you are not, that something that, look, I think we are just, this is getting, one should be getting more agitated. Honestly, every day. You want to put people, the economy into a tailspin. In this year of election, there's going to be inflation because a lot of money will be awash in the system, and then you now want to start this again. You can imagine what Nigerians will be going through in this 2022 when that happens. And then the nonsense 5,000 naira they want to give to how many people for how many months? 4 or 5 months or 6 months?
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's
I think they have to put my name on that list because because I'm a Nigerian too. I think I should qualify for that 5,000. Whatever it will do, if it's just to buy me a recharge card.
Even some experts have said that this knee-jerk intervention programs that they might not be
childish.
too. Like,
that's what I'm doing now.
5,000,
I used to
it's more than what they spend on the so-called subsidy. Yeah. So why not retain the subsidy or whatever?
Otherwise, you are going to turn the economy.
We have been on this argument since 1992 or 93. You remember the debate between the late, both of them are late now, Abiola and Tofa.
Yeah, 1993.
When Tofa, Abiola asked him that he as an accountant wants to know how much do you refine this fuel. You cannot put a price to something you don't know how much it costs you to produce. Nobody has ever told us from beginning how much it costs.
Exactly.
I mean, and the NLC came on the platform of the fact that all the 4 refineries, we are going to do it, we are going to refurbish it, we are going to make them.
And nothing has happened.
8 years down the line, we are still talking of the same thing.
So, is it not better for organized labor to sit down with the federal government and they iron this out?
Why is there a need for any discussion in the first place? Why is there a need for this nonsense? I'm sorry to be using this word, but I really feel I'm very angry. Yes.
Nigerian Labour Congress.
Yes, because my thinking is that they should just sit down. You heard what Yinka just said. The so-called palliative is even more expensive than the subsidy. So what is the sense in it? What is the sense in it? It appears somebody just wants to aggravate Nigerians who are suffering already under scarcity of things. Look, Ayo, I keep telling you on this program, my own father has 2 textile factories. The 2 factories are idle. Nothing is happening there. So in Nigeria, in Ogun State, now, how about nobody from government ever came to us and said, wait a minute, what is happening? Why are you not producing? The payee tax that we pay, the company tax that we pay, nobody comes to say, wait a minute, this company is not big. What's happened to you? Nobody came. Not even from the state government, not from the local government, not from the federal government.
Because the oil money is
there. Because the oil money is there. So you are going to be throwing money around. Let's sit down and work and run this country. Let's have macroeconomic policies.
There was a time when you go to Ilupeju area. The whole of MP, the whole of Oshodi.
Yes, the same thing in Kaduna and all that.
That's Oshodi, Ahapa Express Road, textile factories on both sides. None of them is there. They are selling rice and selling cars. They are selling Ororo now and the rest of them.
The way to rule Nigeria now is that if the moment you are bereft of idea, just go to the oil sector and say you want to remove subsidy and all that, you get more money. Because that is what every government has always been doing.
Nobody's thinking
about it. It's not only this government, it is every government. But some years back, we had a promise that, look, the factory, the refineries that they have been able to, not been able to fix in 16 years, we are going to fix it in 4 years.
Nothing.
8 years down the road.
They now change the make lecture. They say it's no longer subsidiary. Subsidy is under recovery.
Okay, we'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. Please stay with us. It's your favorite news and current affairs program coming to you live from TVC here in Lagos, Nigeria. I have Olanyika Oyebide and Lekon Shotte still in the house. It appears announcement by the national leader of the All Progressive Congress, that's APC, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that he will vie for the 2023 presidential election, has opened the floodgates of aspirants jostling for the tickets. 24 hours after Tinubu announced his intention at the presidential villa, Abuja, Governor Dave Umahi of Ebonyi State was also at the Aso Rock to declare his intention. Also, Senate Chief Whip and former Governor of Abia State, Orji Zokalu, has declared his intention to contest the 2023 presidential election. Let's share the story with you.
I can answer that with categorical yes.
It was the biggest news out of Nigeria yesterday because it was a pronouncement long awaited by Nigerians. Asiwaju Bola Tinubu's emphatic announcement that he would seek to be president in 2023 is but the beginning of the journey. And there are others who will seek to fly the flag of the APC as presidential candidate. Dave Umahi is one of them, and barely a day after Asiwaju's declaration, he is in the presidential villa to inform President Buhari he will also seek to be president.
Interest of Southeast for the seat of presidency in 2023. And of course, I told Mr. President that without prejudice to whatever will be the decision of the party, which we shall all abide by, that if the party throws the ticket open or the zone to southern part of Nigeria, that I believe that with what I put in place in the past 6 years plus, that I will be running for presidency on the platform of APC.
He believes his achievements in Ebonyi State in the last 6 years will hold him in good stead. But he will need to convince his people, especially the Ohanis in Nigbo, to give him their backing in his quest.
Ohanese leadership should not play politics. Yes, they can speak for the interest of Southeast. They can speak for fair treatment to Southeast as a people, but as a matter of equity, justice, and fairness, and leaving a level playing field for all the political parties and the aspirants, they should not dabble into politics or whom to support, whom not to support. I think they will hear it just like they heard other political parties' aspirants.
Already another prominent son of the Southeast, former Abia State Governor, Senator Orji Zokalu, has made it clear he will be interested in flying the APC's presidential flag if the opportunity looks the way of the Southeast region.
It's nothing like Igbo presidency. There is more like a Nigerian president coming from Igbo area of Nigeria. No Igbo man since independent had been democratically elected president. I'm the most prepared presidential candidate in Nigeria. Anywhere. I'm capable as a person, I'm capable in my pocket, I'm capable to face anybody. But the party is supreme. I only wait for APC as a party.
He is another who believes he has what it takes to be president. Politics is hottening up early ahead of the 2023 general election, and there is no gainsaying the fact that there will be stiff competition for who flies the presidential flag of the All Progressive Congress. Tai Amodu, TVC News, Abuja.
That's Governor Dave Umahi of Ebonyi State and the former governor of Abia State, that's Orji Zokalu. And Dave Umahi left the People's Democratic Party after serving 2 terms, as in being elected twice to the All Progressive Congress in Ebonyi State. And a lot of people link that with this is declaration now, that ultimately he might want to pick the ticket of the All Progressive Congress for the presidential tickets.
You know, when people are subjected to scrutiny with what you have said before and what your action is now, Dave Umahi has already disqualified himself. I remember that in 2018, newspapers were agog, speculating that he was going to defect to APC, and he denied it. Said no, he will never defect to APC, blah, blah, blah. On November 16, that's 2 years after, he dumped PDP and joined APC. And also then said it was not because he wanted to be president, that he's only fighting for the Southeast. Just as every politician is always fighting for his or our people. Now he has come out to declare. You know, it's like the Jagaban has always set the pace. It's like they were all waiting for somebody to come out. And the Jagaban beat chased the Rubicon before all of them, and everybody from every corner is now coming out. By tomorrow or next, or even before the end of the day, we'll see others coming out. But the question is, let us look at everyone, the 3 of them that have come out. Let us subject all of them to analysis. The Yoruba will say that if you promise to give me a cloth to wear, I will look at the one you are wearing. What has been the antecedents of all these people?
To say, let's say in Abia State now.
What did you do in Abia? What did you do in what have you done in Ebonyi?
2007.
Exactly. What did you do in Lagos? Then you compare. Some people might think that that's not that's an unfair comparison, but it is. If you want, if I give you, it's like the biblical talent thing. They give you one.
Whatever is happening to those in those states today,
yes,
it's as a result of the foundation that has been laid since that 1999.
Good. So now, but in now coming to what we are talking about, why is it that everybody had to wait for the Jagaban to come out? Or okay, maybe as the national leader of the party, everybody they were deferring to him or something, and now that he has come out, everybody is crawling out from their hidden places to say that okay, we are interested.
Okay, in the late 1999, 2000, I'm quite conversant with Ebonyi State. As in, especially Abakaliki, Izzy and everything, and it was Dr. Sam Egu that was the governor at that time, and you know, going back to Ebonyi State sometimes last year, and I discovered that this is a far cry from the Ebonyi State I used to know. As to be fair to Dave Umahi, the kind of development in Abakaliki,
hospital,
the kind of
airports,
infrastructure,
roads,
yes,
flyovers.
Yes.
Why is flyover the thing that every governor wants to do?
At least he has shown that he can do 1 or 2 things and everything. Right. But you know, do you see him, the structure on ground from the All Progressive Congress, do you see him picking that particular ticket?
That's a very good question. See, I don't want to just look at the Umahi.
We are building up all of them. We are bringing in
my understanding of this is this: politics is a game of compromise as well as IOUs. What IOU is the Umahi going to cash? What IOU is Orjius Okado going to cash? what IOU is Asiwaju Bola Tinubu going to cast. That is my take on this whole issue. And when I look at that, there has been conversation in the past. I recall the late, what's the name of this man who died around the time that Abakari died, Pantami. I'm sorry, who's the NUJ house was named after him.
Isafuntua.
Isafuntua. He says that if the Igbos, but he meant anybody wanted to be to contest, your people must come forward and join the conversation.
Yes.
See, the baggage of the what do you call it, of the Umahis and the Ojo Zokalo is that the stance and the position of IPOB against Nigeria, just like Igboho also is pitching the Yoruba against the Nigerian state.
Yes.
That would be a baggage for all of them to deal with.
I know of Dave Umahi, he had never encouraged the activity of IPOB.
I'm talking about the Igbo people, not just him. That's why I said they are baggage for him.
Yeah.
The same way Igboho will be a baggage for Asiwaju Tinubu. You understand?
Yeah.
However, whose baggage is lighter? Which one is heavier? We then go into things. But like I said, the IOUs is very key. It's very because politics is a game of compromise. What are you bringing into it? What did you bring into it? Do you understand? So those are the issues that I see. And from my reading, it appears to me that we are still waiting for more people to come.
Yeah, definitely.
Waiting for more people. I know of some people in cabinet members,
who are
ministers,
yes,
that I know that they will come out to contest. When will President Muhammadu Buhari release them, or to say, please, if you are interested, you can join the fray and resign honorably. They are in the cabinet right now. I can count 3, 4 in that cabinet, or 3 that I'm very, very certain of, that they are just waiting for a moment like this. There are 7 ministers. They want to pick that presidential ticket.
Well, it's an open field, as it was said yesterday, or has been we've been saying. Everybody is qualified to contest. The minimal qualification the Constitution says is that you must have secondary school certificate, whether you fail or you passed. So all these candidates who have come out, they all have the requisite qualification. But the question is, with their experience, they have been governors before, and it's good, at least the 3 of them have been governors before. Those are the things that will also count when the time comes, because you cannot aim to be a president when you have never been, when you have never held any public office. So I think it's a good one, and as Lekan said, what exactly are the people from the southeast bringing to the table? Let's take it as one now, because we all know it only took Umahi to defect to APC to make the southeast and Imo,
Imo State, yeah.
I mean, and for me,
and it appears the people are kicking against that move.
Yeah, of course, they did.
So we need to be realistic about some of these things.
It's going to take a very strong
and then for him to
campaign.
Be pushing, talking to Ohaneze Ndigbo the way he's just spoke now, I think it's wrong. He needed to engage them privately so that they come out as one voice for the Igbo people, not the way he's knocking them now. That is wrong.
The problem with our politicians is that when journalists accost them and ask some tricky questions. Rather than say, I don't want to talk about that, or maybe we'll talk about that later, that's not the important thing now, you would want to be quoted. Because when I saw it too, the same man that is saying Ohaneze should not play politics, if Ohaneze comes out tomorrow now and say that we are backing you, is he going to tell them not to play politics?
Well, this is not the end of.
And this is just APC now.
Before their convention,
PDP is also coming.
That want to pick their tickets, and it's going to be a very interesting development.
But like I said, please let's watch.
The two major
political IOUs is going to play a large.
I'm moving on now. Millions of challenges is confronting university education in Nigeria, chief among which is the underfunding. That's a fresh challenge is understaff. The National University Commission, NUC, said Nigeria currently has only 100,000 academic staff, teaching and supervising about 2.1 million students in over 200 universities across the country. The Deputy Executive Secretary in charge of administration at the NUC, Chris Moyaki, lamented the gross shortage of lecturers and called for exemption of universities from federal government embargo on new employment. Inka, this is not looking palatable at all. 100,000 academic staff to be teaching and supervising, currently teaching and supervising over 2.1 million students in 200 universities across the country.
I think the problem is perhaps understated. And the major cause are two: salary and the refusal of universities to engage the town and gown. Let us talk about town and gown first. And let me talk about what I know. I'm a journalist. There used to be a senior journalist who has a wealth of experience. He has been a newspaper editor, magazine and all that. At one time, they approached a particular university that the product you send to us to do youth service, we find out that some of them are not good enough in journalism. Can we as a corporate body come and, from the practical aspect, teach them pro bono? According to him, because I interviewed the senior journalist, but I will not mention him.
I think I know.
And he said they were playing them, their company, they said the university was playing them left, right, and center until they got frustrated and left. Why? The university says you must have PhD to teach in the university. Or the NUC says you must have PhD to teach in the university.
That's been the standard for some time.
But there are some courses that should be exemptions. Because having a PhD in a particular field does not mean you have the requisite experience that is needed. What we need to do is what they are already doing in the United States. There are professors that are appointed, or you may not call them professors.
No, professor of practice, yes.
Exactly. This last week, I was at an international conference organized by University of Houston at Texas, University of Texas at Austin in Babcock. Those are it was about private universities and public universities. Those are the issues that were discussed. Now, why should there be, you have somebody, maybe he has been an accountant for several years, he knows you can't engage him as a lecturer to teach practical accounting. Your PhD holders can teach the theories. And also, besides that, there's the issue of pay. How much do you pay a PhD? Even if you insist he must have a PhD. He has the PhD, he comes in, how much do you pay him or her? So those are issues that we need to work on. There are so many people who even have PhDs, but will not go to the university to teach because the pay is poor.
It's not attractive.
It's not attractive.
Like, are you considering that? I know you have a PhD. Are you considering?
I'm already teaching in one, but I mean, but I don't want to say that so that nobody will think. But the actual fact is that whether you have a PhD or not, there are some crucial courses that you don't need to have a PhD to teach. You have the practical experience. Let those who have the practical take the practical aspect, those who are grounded in theory, because when you come to the field, theory and practical, we have to match each other.
At the point in time, in our alma mater, at the point in time, you cannot be confirmed as even a full-time head of department if you are not a professor. If you're a doctor,
well, I think that tradition changed, so that when it became, well, they took the collegial thing, so that if you are not a professor, you will be called acting HOD. You spend one academic year.
You can't be.
Somebody else takes over. If that somebody else is a professor, that person is substantive HOD. Spends 3 years. After that tenure, they look for one of you again. If there's no other professor, whoever takes over will be acting for 1 year. After that, that same professor who just left will come back. You know. Now, but just as you guys say, there are. Let me talk about myself, my own experience. When I was a student, University of Lagos Mass Comm Department, every long vac, I worked with Tribune, I worked with Daily Times, I worked with an advertising agency. As the school system was, it was predictable.
Yeah,
summertime.
Once it is June,
you know you have very long holidays.
Yeah, that's 3 months. You work, you know, and you are paid. You get work and you are exposed.
Yeah.
You don't just sit down and warm the chair. The school system that has become doesn't make it easy for anybody to really know what is going on anymore. So that is a problem, you know. And then I recall Professor Ralph Akinfeleye organized a workshop or conference middle of last year, and I was one of the rapporteurs, you know, for the conference. And submission from many of them professors who have also worked in the field. Some of them who have been essentially in the ivory tower. They came to the conclusion that, well, when you take everything, what they said put together, the conclusion of that conference is that there is need for those in the field to come into the classroom to tell them what is happening in the field right now. You know, in engineering, for example, every 5 years, whatever knowledge you have is obsolete. It's even worse now with this digital economy and the technology. It's worse now.
Let me quickly pick this call. Adeto is calling us from Lagos.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us, too.
Thank you. You see, I'm surprised that Ojilu Sokalu is coming to contest for presidency, because I've been to Abia many times. I couldn't see, even when he was in office for his 8 years, there is nothing to show for his governorship there. As for Governor Umahi, if God will help Nigerians to have that man in place, I was in Abakaliki for 3 months. It's not a governor of developing the state capital only. Every nook and cranny of Abia and of Ebonyi State. The man is a workaholic. He has developed everywhere. In fact, the mode of his construction of roads is what we need in Nigeria. He uses concrete to develop roads. Every nook and cranny of that state. Just give that man and this man from Borno State, that professor,
Zulu.
Borno State governor. Give those two people Nigeria, let them do whatever they like with it for 4 years.
Thank you.
We'll see much.
Thank you. So you were talking about that system.
Yeah. So you knew that.
Like in journalism now.
Yeah.
practicing and what we have theoretically in the classroom right now.
Because you need both. I mean, luckily I've worked in broadcast, I've worked in journalism, so I know you need. Some people can't even handle microphone. Yeah. Position a microphone. Yeah. When they see a union,
I will ask if that typing 101 is still in the curriculum. I will ask. I don't know.
I don't know. You know, in those days when we entered,
no. I think it's a computer now.
Yeah, but in those days, once you are in year 1,
because that's
there's a computer, there's a typewriter on your table.
Yeah.
There's no table without a typewriter. No. And then your first
what are you doing with it now?
I don't think there's any man.
No, there's not. Because now they are regarded as digital natives.
People have laptops.
Yeah, they are regarded as digital natives that they know.
And in any case,
computer, so
you cannot submit any assignment
without
it being typed.
Typing was one of the first subjects we were subjected to come and type.
Mrs. Dada was the one who taught us how to. I don't know if you met Mrs. Dada. She taught us how to use the typewriter. Mrs. Dada was the secretary to the HOD. Okay. And she was the one that took us. I understand she died about 2 years ago.
I forgot this man. Put us to that time.
You know, so you need to have, even those courses that you say are theory. Let's talk about history, for example. Don't you do research in history?
They do.
Do you understand? There are procedures. So people need to be taught. I have an uncle who, I think after his O-level, he said he worked with an anthropologist somewhere in Ibadan or the old Western region. And he still tells me, this was 1950 something, he still tells me his experiences, the things he saw.
So on the final note now we need more hands, definitely. If we have 2.1 million students in 200 universities.
What's the ratio?
Well, it comes to 1 to 21. But when I look at it, medicine, engineering, medicine, pharmacy, you probably need 1 lecturer to 10 students.
Yeah.
For medicine, and the same 1 to 10. Then engineering, 1 to 15. Then social sciences, arts, 1 to 30. But I think about it this way. I studied in a university in America where they give you assignment every week, which you must submit. Now, if you have a classroom of 150 students...
No, that is no longer practicable, especially in public universities.
How do you do that? How do you
in some classes that are about 1,500, 1,500. Perhaps in a private university, that's possible, and they do that. But in a public university...
In my school.
All right.
2025.
Thank you, Lekon Shote. Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you very much.
And Dr. Olayinka Oyebile, and I will put that PhD with professor, not honorary one.
Thank you.
Honorary course. And that's our offering today.